Here, let me look at your screen. I'm not even looking. Yeah, so right click, go down to the bottom, right click on that, click Open Volume Mixer.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
So I'll keep talking until you think that I sound just right. Just right.
Oh,
there I am.
Way down there.
Yeah, fuck you too.
Now talk. Oh.
Yeah.
That's
all right,
so much
you don't
better.
care about me anyway.
That's so much. You're down at 23%.
That's all I'm worth, 23%.
I guess I will start this one again because last time it worked out fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, cool.
Hopefully the next one I'll have the balls to actually do it myself. So.
All right, here we go. Shit.
Deep breaths, round 2.
Yep. All right. Man.
What the hell?
Hold on. I got this. Welcome back, everybody, to Here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 2 of the Rhyme and Reason podcast. My name is David Suriani, and I'm joined by Zach Sweetser, as always. And Zach, how are you today?
Doing well, you?
Good.
Is it weird that somebody on my Steam accounts is playing a game called Hand Simulator? Dude, I don't even want to ask.
Oh, no. So obviously we were talking earlier, and I just flew back from Boston. I had like an hour flight to Buffalo, and we decided we were going to record episode 2 tonight. And I had a chance to listen to all of the tracks I wanted to of Best of What's Around, which is actually my favorite DMB song. It took me like 5 years to make that decision, but I don't know if you knew that, but this is my favorite DMB song.
Sweet.
So that's why I pushed to do this track. And I listened to a lot of versions on the plane, and I think I got like a good list of examples of how this song has evolved. But I think it's important to talk about some things first before we get into it. So Best of What's Around obviously was like one of the first songs Dave wrote that we know of and played live. So, and obviously, I mean, it's the opening track on Under the Table and Dreaming. So it's like, you know, I mean, everyone, if you've picked up that CD, everyone's heard that song as like when they put the CD in their car, you know, back in the day. So one of the reasons I really like the song is just like the lyric message is just this, I think, words to live by, honestly. And just the song itself just screams DMB to me. I don't know about the way you think about it, but like just the way they have those, you know, bump, 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 like that, those hits that all the band hits and
Yep.
everything like that. It just screams DMB to me, like that sound. So I generally just really always put this song as my number 1, and I steer people toward it. But you did a little bit of research on the history of the song and like the first time it was played and stuff like that. Do you want to fill us in on that?
Yeah, so it from what I was looking at online, this is just literally through DMB Almanac, but I mean, obviously, it's a great resource, and you know, it looks like March 14th of '91 was the first time full band played it, and officially, I guess you could say, and from there it went all the way, basically '92 through 2001. It was played pretty regularly, most through '94. It had like a ton of plays. I don't even want to count how many that is, but if you, it's like an upside down bar graph, and basically once it got to 2002, they completely eliminated it, at least full band. Dave played it like in a solo radio thing, and then ever since then, yeah, it's just been kind of very sporadic. 2015 got a decent amount, almost the same amount as like 97 through 2000, but for the most part, it's been more of a rare track to hear live. But
right, and one of the things for me, for Best of What's Around, I think a lot of people, when you think of an opener for DMB, you think of like Seek Up or The Stone, or I mean, you know, lately it's been Don't Drink the Water almost religiously for a lot of their shows. And I think people, like when I think of DMB, I think of like, okay, here's their big songs, meaning just, first of all, volume, and just how like I guess just how monstrous they are in when you listen to them. And like to me, Seek Up is like this just incredible, long, just huge, awesome jam.
Yep.
And then Best of What's Around is shorter, it's more happy-go-lucky, and I think it doesn't get the appreciation that those bigger jams get, quote, bigger for lack of a better term. Yeah. But the song, I don't think you meet a fan who says they don't like Best of What's Around.
Yeah, I mean, I one of my good friends listens to Dave Matthews, not as much, but he has like all the stuff that I have in regards to discology, and this is also his favorite song. So it's like definitely seems to hit home with most people that listen to the band. And in regards to the jamming side of it, just a point before I forget it. We talked about like longer jams. The longest version of the song was just shy of 9 minutes. So it's definitely like, they'll do all the verses and the choruses, and then it's not that long of a jam. It's kind of like Gray Street in that regard, so.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think the other thing, there's nothing in this song from a drumming standpoint that Carter plays where I'm just like, oh, I could never do that. That's crazy. I mean, it's a fairly straightforward song in terms of drumming, and I think all the parts in general, but just something about it is just very pleasing. It's like a happy song. So anyways, we could start and get into it here. I have the earliest demo we know of from Carter's Basement, and I believe it was only Dave, Stefan, Leroy, and Carter. At this point, there was no Peter, and there was no Boyd. Yep. Obviously. So it's really interesting. This one, we're going to play it. I'd like to do it start to finish just because it is so unique. And you obviously, we touched on it a little bit before we started today, but you haven't heard much of it. And the intro is completely different. I actually really like the intro, and once this song's done, we'll touch on it so you can hear it and know what we're talking about. But as soon as I played it for you, you noticed something about this version, if you want to tell everyone about it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's just the way that the recording has been like mass produced and then like re-encoded or whatever, but it's actually a half step up from the regular key that Best of What's Around is in, which is A major. And it's like the whole thing is in B flat. So either they were playing it up a half step or it just didn't get through to like the digital side of things properly, but it's just kind of an interesting thing to note. So,
right. Well, let's check it out. So I will start it now.
So Dave's solo vocal intro, and then he leads it into when the band joins, and that's cool.
I know, I like that. Like when I first found this tape and I listened to it, I was like, okay, I'm not sure about this. But then it really grew on me. Like it has like this weird effect. Like you're hearing Dave, and this is his song, and then his band comes in. I like that order of things.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me, I think the song Get in Line from the early 90s, they had a similar intro where Dave like is like saying A, like, and then drops into it. So kind of cool.
And it's almost like a reprise the way it starts. Yeah. It's weird. I like it. And here at this point, you're into the song and we all know.
Yep.
They know bump, 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 that stuff. But from a drumming standpoint, Carter is very linear here. Just boom,
yeah, it's very it's a lot more predictable than the usual Carter where you see people saying, I could never match this guy. I can't hear from my end, but were there cowbells there?
No, there is no cowbells. That was all in the ride cymbal.
Okay.
So that's something we'll touch on in the later versions. This part of the song, the bump, 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 that is usually the most different throughout the years, especially on drums. Obviously, Leroy solo now. One of the things that's interesting is that during the verses of this song, it's 3 people. I mean, it's Dave, Stefan, and Carter. If you think about it in a sad way, in 2018, that's where we're at now in terms of the original band. And like right now, this is just 3 guys, you know? So this is definitely a drastic difference from the versions we know. I mean, there's no hey laws, right? There's no crowd chant hey la, you know. It's just that, right? It's just bump, bump, bump.
Yeah,
bump,
just jamming over that. That's cool.
Right, letting Leroy go. But this riff is that when I was talking in the intro about just songs that sound like DMB. This, to me, sounds like DMB.
Yeah.
So, that snare drum on 2 and 4, but Carter accenting that riff on his kick with Stefan. I like that.
Yep.
And obviously, like we talked about for two-step, I can already tell you how this song's going to end just by listening to and knowing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll literally just end on the last part of that step down.
I think that was Carter who just said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there he said, yeah, again. Because Dave is doing what Leroy's doing on sax.
Yeah. Some unison.
Harmonizing it there.
He ended up by himself. There you go.
So that's the most different version we'll hear, this whole podcast. And it's I think it's cool because you hear that raw sound. Like we said, you hear Carter going they're not on stage. They're in his basement. He doesn't have to get excited or fake a smile or anything. That's real. So, and that I would have never noticed that was up a half step. Like, I would have just been like, oh, it's just an old tape. It sounds weird. So, just that is interesting to hear because of those 4 songs. In that basement, all the songs they played in the basement that day, I think are still played today. I think it was Idea of You, recently, Best of What's Around, and Jane, which are all still played. Yep. But all the other songs from that tape, their form today is very similar to the tape. This one is the most different. So we're going to skip ahead to 1992 to keep things going. This is Live Tracks 37, which obviously I mentioned last time is my favorite. And the mix on this is incredible. And there's a couple things. Boyd plays in the chorus on this one. You'll hear it. He's got like this violin part during the chorus. I really, really like it. And no other version I found has it. Not even like ones from 93 or other ones from 92. And I don't understand why they didn't keep it. I think it fits really, really nice. And you'll notice the jam in the middle of the song, the solo section, it's Boyd soloing, not Leroy. And then Leroy takes the end solo. So they kind of they switch it up a little bit, which I like. But we'll play that one just because it's such a drastic difference.
Okay.
Hey, my friend, it seems you
So obviously, first thing right off the bat, you got that, that snare intro, that fill.
Yeah.
And you hear Peter on this one too. And he's got like that syncopated piano going. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
Listen for him in the second verse.
The old school electric keyboard, yeah. It's a good sound though.
And hear Boyd here too. It just adds like such a nice effect.
Yeah, there's Stefan with the bass line.
Yep.
Oh yeah, dude, I love that
The
piano in
keys.
there. That sounds great.
Yeah, me too. It just helps Dave's guitar a little bit. You know?
Yeah. Dave's able to kind of expand on, rather than trying to cover rhythm and lead, he's able to just make it his own. Because Peter's covering all the chords, like the rhythm.
His voice also in this one is really, really good.
Yeah.
It just sounds really natural.
Yeah.
Like it's not straining at all.
Yeah, and it's not as nasally as like a lot of the stuff from this time too.
No, it's really great. Boyd again. So between Boyd in my mix, Boyd's on my left, Peter's on my right, and then like during the chorus, and it just fills up that chorus so much because the version we just listened to was only Dave, Stefan, and Carter.
Yep.
So instead of 3 guys, you got 5. So now, of course, this solo, Boyd takes it, which is rare because it's normally a Leroy or saxophone. So this is the first Hey Laws we're hearing, which I think this is, for the band, you're getting the crowd. I mean, everyone would go to these shows, and there's no way you could leave this show without humming this part in your head.
Oh yeah.
So I think this was a huge key for them gaining the popularity they did. It would just be fun to be at this show.
Yeah,
and I also think, not to cut you off, but I think you can hear Leroy doing Hey Laws too.
Yeah, no, I definitely am hearing that too. I mean, and just going from like even DMB Almanac mentions it, but it's definitely true in the fact that this section of the song, and this song in general, the band uses it for the reason like that you mentioned. It sticks in people's heads and it like leaves a good vibe for what the rest of the show is going to be. Because like traditionally they use this in the first half of the set, and it's for that reason.
Right. So then obviously Leroy takes this solo out to the end.
Yep.
And it's quite a long solo, so I'm gonna skip to where Leroy cues the ending, and this is one of the rare songs where Carter isn't really in control of the jam. I mean, they pretty much have to play as long as Leroy plays until he hits that last note.
Yep.
That everyone, right? because I mean, normally Carter can kind of push the band, but really it's the sax solo that drives this part. So I'm just going to skip to the end of it, and then we'll hear. Just pay attention to how much they slow down.
Oh wow, yeah. So definitely a different variation of the one that you'd normally be like, hand drumming to. So.
Right, and that I like this version. So I mean, you hear that like, just boom, plop, boom, boom, boom. It's just like it's very short. I think the newer versions we'll listen to, obviously, like they slow down a lot. I prefer this version. I mean, this is my favorite version of the song from this live tracks. Just between that violin and Peter on keys,
yep.
It just fills it up so nice. Having those two things in the mix, and Boyd just really, that part is really, really nice during the chorus. So, but I mean, that form of the song. I mean, it stays that way for literally till now. I mean. Besides changing, like, there's, we lose keys and then, like, the violin parts go. But, like, the actual structure of the song, the way it progresses, that's it.
Yeah.
The next one is just from 93. It's just an acoustic version. We won't listen to the whole thing. But it's just when Dave would play this song a lot, and he would actually go out on stage and play, like, 2 or 3 songs, and then the band would come out. Or he would open for Tim Reynolds. He'd open for TR3, and he would just play acoustic. So we'll just play a little bit of that just to see, how it would sound again back in Charlottesville in the early 90s.
Cool.
Cool.
I'm going to start with a few tunes by myself, and then, but just before I start, I'm going to maybe say to the stage sound man that maybe he could come over here and stop this thing from going making that high-pitched noise in my face.
You tell him.
We'll start, and he'll be here in a moment.
And you know what though, like his stage mannerisms like haven't really changed.
No, I know.
Like,
yeah.
From playing for like 25 people to playing for like 25,000. Like it's. So acoustically, he's starting it again with that little, I don't want to say reprise, but it's what it sounds like.
Yep.
It seems your eyes have troubled care to share your time with me. Would you say you're feeling low? I'm so
So this one is like only a few months after the last version we just played. But you can hear, the cool thing about this one is like when it starts, you can hear the dryness of the track, and then you hear the sound engineer starting to add reverb and EQing it a little bit. You can actually hear it change.
That's cool.
As I said, we won't listen to the whole thing, but if you guys get a chance, this is from January 26, 1993. If you get a chance to get a hold of this tape, just listen to how the engineer is adding and dialing him in, because this is, I believe, the first song he played on this night, and I doubtful there was a sound check or very little sound check. So, but just to give you an idea of that song and how it was, I mean, I don't think you get it as much acoustically now.
Yeah.
But that was a thing back then. Dave would play. He would play acoustically, just for opening for his own band. So it's kind of interesting. But next, we'll skip to 97. So I would say 95, 94, 95, the song. Obviously, the Almanac shows us that it was played a ton. And really, the song was fast. Like, they picked it up a lot. And this version in particular, Carter's drumming is like super, super funky. He's really syncopating it. The mix is really good, so you can hear it really well. And I mean, when I played it for you, the first thing you noticed was Dave's vocals. I mean, he's really he's having a lot of fun with it, I guess you could say. And I attribute that to Carter. Like, this version is like super tight. Like, just the groove in it is really, really good. But I mean, obviously we're missing keys because Peter's gone, Butch isn't here yet, and Leroy is taking all of the solos. So check out Dave singing on this one, and then I'll just play from the beginning again because you notice it right away.
Hey, my friend, it seems your eyes have trouble care to share.
Yep. I mean, the first thing I know is definitely quicker.
Would you say
Right.
you're feeling
But you hear Carter with that hi-hat, just those little accents on the 16th notes.
Yeah.
Really good. See, I'm just missing that violin part. That's all I hear now when I listen to this song. I need it.
Yeah. It does kind of feel like a little bit of a void. So.
You think that really matter, that really matter, hey, and hurts not much when you're around, when you're around, and if you hold on tight to what you think is your thing, you may find you're missing all the rest. So run up into the light, surprised, her arms are open, her mind's eyes, seeing things from a better side than most can dream of, making a road out.
You can hear Leroy like noodling right now,
Yep.
very, very lightly.
Yeah, he's just
but,
kind of adding some.
you know, nothing to what Boyd was doing.
Yeah, and there's all that like all the Dave.
So, right. So you're hearing like, I mean, obviously you're hearing him do that like crazy vocal, like, you know, just skipping into the higher registers here and there. And I think like, I mean, the way Carter's playing in this version, it's like he's just ripping the syncopation on it everywhere. And like, I feel like Dave and Carter like really like have a lot of connection on stage, because you'll see Dave like smile or give Carter like a look or a nod when he does something.
Yep.
And I think Dave feeds off like Carter's energy, and when he's doing stuff like he did in this version, it's like, I mean, you can't help tapping your foot to it. It's really good. But again, I'm missing that violin ever since I've heard it in that one version. I'm like, man, like, what is Boyd doing? Like, literally for this song, he just stands there until the halas come on now. Like, he doesn't play anything anymore. And another thing, during the bump, 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 bump on that, Carter completely just breaks off of it before the solo. And we hear the cowbell for the first time during that part now. Like, we're starting to hear cowbell is on.
He's forming like what has become more of the standardized drum part to it. Right. So it's like interesting to see, like you said, like how it's just changed over just a few years, like to become kind of the modern version that we still hear what they play today. So
right, and that cowbell is just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
The wood block is in there, which it's mounted right next to his cowbell on the set, and he will. Normally what you'd play as ghost notes on the snare drum during a groove, he'll take those, so 2 and 4s on the snare, and the ghost notes he'll put onto the hi-hat and the wood block in a random pattern. So you get that, like, you know, that cowbell, like doom, doom, ga-goom, goom, like that kind of thing. From the wood block, you get that accent in there. And you're hearing that now, which is new for this song. And when the band's going, you know, bump, 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 he's completely breaking off of that and playing like this syncopation on the kick, the hi-hats, the wood block. The only thing that's staying consistent is the cowbell on 1 through 4 and the snare on 2 and 4.
Doesn't he add cowbell on the like 16th note wise, like the 1E and a 1? I thought he adds like the higher toned like wood block on one of them.
That's what I'm. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So that's what I was. Yep, that's what I was just explaining. You know, you hear that it's like doom, doom, ga-goom.
Okay, so that's like the one you're referring to. Yeah, because that one definitely is like a more prominent one, and it, like you said, it adds to that like groove for sure. So
right, yeah, and so that's what he's starting to add in, and then breaking the hell out of everything else. And we talked about this for two-step. He's like creating tension in the groove again.
Yeah.
But the pocket of it is like super deep still. Like his pockets have pockets. It's so deep. It's crazy. It's so nuts. But it's like, and he's stuffing so much syncopation in there. I mean, not to keep going with the metaphors, but like most drummers, like we have a pocket, and then there's so much that we could squeeze into it before it like we can't fit any more in our pocket and we lose the groove. But like it's just this particular version, it's just such a deep groove and pocket, and he just like fits. It's just really good. And then it breaks into that sax solo, which is like, you know, Leroy comes in and hits these nice notes, and it just sounds good. It's like this release, and the groove just comes back to something you could just dance to, and it's like. It's just one of those. That's why it is like the top song for me, because it just those little things they add up. So,
yep.
I mean, how do you feel about it? There's no keys anymore. I mean, I like it with keys better than without, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like we were kind of discussing when we could hear Peter clearly on the previous ones. It definitely allows Dave to have more freedom to kind of mess around with like kind of lead riffs that he can do on his guitar, because Peter was doing all the comping and all the rhythm stuff in regards to the underlying chords on top of the actual bass part that Stefan's playing. So yeah, it definitely like leaves a little bit of a hole without him in there.
Right.
It changes the sound in maybe a cool way so that you can hear differences, but I absolutely do prefer having him in there as well. So
yeah. No, I agree. Real quick, we'll move to 2001 and 2013. I put both of these, or 2003. I put both of these in there because, I mean, they're pretty much the same exact version. We actually listened through, and a lot of the timestamps for like certain, you know, parts of the song happened at like the exact same time. It's like they played at the exact same tempo both years.
Yeah.
The song slows down a lot, as a lot of songs did in the early 2000s. And in 2001, we have the ladies, and in 2003, we don't. So I just wanted to play the beginning of both of them and then play the ending jam, because the ladies are present, like I said, in the first one, not in the second. So here's the one from 2001. We'll just start it from the beginning, and you'll immediately hear how slow it is.
You're my friend. It seems your eyes are troubled, care to share. Your time with me. Would you say you're feeling low and so in good idea would be to get it off of your mind. See you and me have a better time than most can dream of.
So if you pay attention to what we listen to later, you'll hear the ladies again, and they're more involved. In this one, it's just Dave singing until the jam.
Yeah, they definitely
the ladies
stay out.
Right, and they're just like dancing on the side of the stage.
Yeah.
And there's that cowbell part, which we'll hear again, but it's exactly what you were talking about right now.
Yeah.
Or no, not right now. Sometimes he plays it in the verse, sometimes he doesn't. It depends. But you're hearing how slow this is now. I think it sits better at a little bit faster tempo, but I mean, this isn't bad.
No, yeah, this is definitely not like insanely slow. It's totally doable.
No.
Up into the light, surprised. Her arms are open, her mind's eyes.
I love some of Stefan's stuff in this one. Like they kind of have the high register in there more, and you can hear him almost like slapping a lot of the parts.
Oh yeah. Good call on that. Oh, here's your woodblock part.
Turns out not aware, but do you if that really matter? That really matter. That really matter. That really matter.
So, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna skip to the end of this one, so you can hear the ladies in the Haylaws as well. So we'll go to 305.
But what you think that really matter? That really matter. And hurts not much when you're around. When you're around, hey, la la, oh, oh, hey,
I know there's a lot of back and forth on, oh, I hate the lovely ladies and stuff. Man, I mean, this song in particular, it really like adds to like just the backbone of the song.
I agree.
Like, and that just happy-go-lucky feel. I don't know.
Yep.
I definitely like Out in a Minute.
And you can hear Boyd doing his backup. I think Carter, obviously. I don't know if Leroy was doing it when the ladies were there. It's hard to tell. So for me, there's something about it, like when Dave pulls away from the mic and he like sings a note after he does a little scat thing and like says the best of what's around, and he just like whatever note he hits and like pulls away and it fades out and the jam just comes in, like it just like feels good. Like it's just it's good. Like there's nothing bad like at all. I love it. But you hear the ladies now kind of soloing or just, you know, improvising with Leroy. And I don't think that really takes away from Leroy at all, because they're just such separate voices.
Yep.
But
I mean, it's just background vocals. It's kind of like the same way that, you know, Rashawn and Jeff nowadays will do the horn backgrounds.
Right.
I mean, they're just doing their with vocals. It's the same idea.
So interesting here, we're hearing Dave come back with the Hey Laws again.
Yeah, joining the ladies.
For me too, it's like very clear that this is Leroy and not Jeff. Like, both are great, but you can just, there's such a huge difference, and this one just in particular sounds a lot like Leroy to me. So pay attention to how much this one slows down now. Like,
yeah, I was expecting the kind of triplet fill that he normally does.
like come on. For me, like, that's a little bit like too much, but I mean, I get it. You know, it's a live version, so the crowds just they don't even know where they are half the time. So, but I mean, that's the first time we're getting the ladies, at least in the versions that we have here. I like what they add for sure. I still prefer that Boyd and Peter, like, but,
yeah.
But you're getting your woodblock thing in there, and interesting point is that, like, the first verse, he does it once, and then the second verse before the solo break, he does it more. So a lot of times in Carter's playing, like, each verse will get, like, more involved, or, you know, when they solo, like, each section gets a little bit louder or more involved. That's how they've always built their jams. And this song, I mean, the whole thing, like, yes, it gets louder during the chorus and there's some quiet parts in the verses, but the whole song is building the whole time. And it's like, just like their jam, like, think of like a Jimmy Thing jam or a 41 solo on sax. Like, it starts off quiet and he's just building up to the China cymbals, just double kick everywhere. And like,
Yep.
This song, the whole thing builds like a jam does, which is kind of interesting, at least from like a perspective of like how he's phrasing his playing. He's one of the best drummers at like phrasing a whole song. Like, a lot of people phrase 8 bars or, you know, 2 bars in a groove or whatever, but he like can phrase this whole song, and he knows the thing that makes him so good is that, like, a lot of drummers, since we play so many notes because we're just hitting everything all the time.
Yeah.
We don't really remember what we play because we just sink in our groove and we don't have to think about it. But he knows every note he plays, and the way I can realize this is because, like, the next verse in the song, he'll play something like a little bit more, but very similar to what he played, but it's like a little bit more involved, and he's like phrasing that, making it a little bit bigger as the song goes on, and that's like I mean, that's a really good quality in a drummer. Like someone who's paying attention to what they're doing. He's paying attention to the other musicians and building with them. I mean, obviously, it makes him a really good quarterback for the band.
Yep.
But before we forget how that sounded, we'll move to 2003, which there's no ladies, and we have Butch now. And you'll have to talk about the keys in this because he's using. You said it was a Rhodes kind of sound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then that'll change again, but we'll start this one. So this is 2003. This is live tracks 26.
And my friend, it seems your eyes are troubled, care to share your time with me. Would you say you're feeling
You hear that organ?
Yeah, that's this one has the organ in it, and then I think he like switches from bliss.
to get it out of your mind. See you and me have a better time than most can dream, and it's better than the best. So can pull on through while there are tears that us. Whatever holds us down, and if nothing can be done, we make the best of what's around.
Yeah, that's to the Rhodes.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
That really matter.
Yeah, and then it's weird because the first set there he did it on the Rhodes, and then the previous one he did it on the regular piano.
Right.
It's like he's like, oh, that's too harsh, so I'm gonna switch back. It's kind of interesting.
To what you think is your thing, you may find you're missing all the
But
rest.
no ladies in this one. Not, just same tempo, same kind of feel to the song as 2001. Just no backing vocals, no ladies.
Mind's eyes see things from a better side than most can dream of. They clear a road out for you. Oh, you could say, whatever tears of her, whatever holds her down, and if nothing can be done, but she made the best of what's around. Turns out now we're about to you with that really matter. That really matter. That really matter. That really matter.
So, and not to cut that one off, but we got a couple more to go. And I like what Butch brings to that. It just it reminds me of Peter. I mean, Peter has got that clanky, like I mean, you discussed this last episode, like that piano sound, like that electric piano from 90s, like early 90s. That he's got that clanky sound, and I like how he fills in the verses with like some, just a little bit of. I don't know what you describe it as on keys, but Butch fills it in just a little bit different way. But I love keys in this song, no matter what they are.
Yep.
But I mean, you notice. I mean, he switches between a couple tones or whatever you want to describe him as. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that was just him like experimenting like in the moment, which is part of like what this band is, right? It's just kind of figuring things out as you go in regards to how you can change the bass structure of the song to make it individual each time. But like that, the bop 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 bop, right? That part, he was accentuating it with those like Rhodes parts. But the first one, he started out in organ and then started doing that step down part with the Rhodes, and then you heard him switch back to regular piano because maybe he thought, oh, that's a little too harsh for this early in the song, and then he went back to it. So I think he was just kind of messing with things and figuring out how he wanted to lay out the sound. But
we'll move ahead to 2005. I mean, there's not as much to like talk about this episode in terms of like, oh, this changed, like the outro changed. It's the same song.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the reasons it's also so like loved in the fan base. It's just like when they play this, like what you're gonna get. Like, and I mean everyone loves when like, oh, they changed this part of this song, or like this is new. Like we all love kind of hearing those new things. But I think it's nice to have like a song or two in there where you just like feel at home with it.
Yep.
And I think Best of What's Around like is that song for the band. But we'll hop ahead to 2005. So this is 2 years later. This is the Complete Weekend on the Rocks album, and they speed it back up quite a bit. But Carter, there's no woodblock and cowbell part that you talked about earlier and that we discussed. It's weird. It's like he's removing that. Butch is here, and he's got a different tone, and he's playing like a longer sustained note thingy. I mean, I don't. That's the best way I could describe it. You'll have to kind of you'll have to listen and explain. Like, it just sounds a little bit different, a little bit like more dreary. If that, it's like really weird. Not bad, not like sad, but just like a little bit more. Just different, but they were definitely kicking up the tempo again and then removing the cowbell. So we'll take a listen to this one.
Okay.
Hey, my friend, it seems you rise up troubled, care to share your time with me. Would you say you're feeling low and so a good idea wouldn't be to get it over your mind? See you and me have a better time than most.
Yeah, it's much quicker. Butch is still in the organ, if I'm hearing that right.
Whatever tears at us, whatever holds us down, and if nothing can be done to make the best of what's around.
So no cowbells.
Yep, and also no Butch accents on those either.
Nope.
That really matters. That really matters. Yeah. And hurts not much when you're around. When you're round, and if you hold on tight to what you think is your thing, you may find your.
But again, he's filling it in with like stuff in the higher registers here.
Yep. Yeah, just doing the sustained organ chords over the top of it. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the cool things with the organ, you know. I mean, it's not like the piano where the tone dies, right? You can just hold that chord and it continues to play, so he's able to really manipulate it a lot in a cool way.
Right. So now we have cowbell.
That really matter. That really matter.
The end of this one just progresses into what we know, the hey laws and out.
Yep.
The slow down and everything. But when he removes the cowbell part, he's just playing like doom ga 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 doom ga. It's just like it's the rock beat from Alfred Book 1. Like it's weird. Like, and I'm not like saying like it's bad. It's just the band at this point. I think 2005. I would say they were still like in their roots as like this. I don't want to say jazz fusion, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
And I would say like 2009, 2008, and later they were a rock band. But like I think 2005 and onward through 2007, you start to hear a little bit more of these differences in the sound of like, oh, like the drums just this. You're hearing like slight changes start to happen that aren't like normal DMB we know. Mm-hmm. But judging from the pattern of this song, like. I think that it's one of those songs where like they honestly are very carefree about how it goes, because it seems like every version it's like there's the same overall situation going on, but it's like also very unorganized at the same time.
Yep.
So it's interesting. But we'll skip to 2012. 2012 and 2014 are the last ones I have. These being like examples of the more modern versions. And it's interesting because 2012, the cowbell's back all the time.
Yeah.
Tim is here. Butch is gone, obviously. And during the middle sax solo with Jeff, Carter just rides on the chinas, and it's like, it's weird. Like, I actually kind of like it. Normally, I mean, a lot of the songs, like he plays China's, like he rides on China's and Crash Into Me Now, which is like, dude, like, you know, and where are you going?
Yeah.
Like it's almost too much. But in this song, I actually kind of like it. And it's important to note that this version is from Charlottesville concert in 2012. And I think they just like push it there, you know, being home.
Yeah.
But let me know what you think about Tim's and his tone in this one too. So. So Tim is doing, you know, filling in this chorus just like Butch would.
Yep.
And I like his tone a lot in this.
Yeah, it's a lot more laid back. He's not doing
Right.
any of the lead parts like you'd normally expect to hear from Tim. Like he's outrageously out there, like electric guitar
Right.
lead riffs. He's actually just
Right.
doing the rhythm parts, and it actually just sounds like really clean and good. And he definitely adds to it in good ways.
Agreed. So listen to Carter during this. So right here you have the Chinas.
Yeah, that's definitely more out there.
It's like a headbanger.
Yeah.
So I think, actually, if you watch the video of this on YouTube, like Carter starts riding on that China, and Dave just looks back at him and like likes it a lot. Like he gives him a smile and everything. Chinas are weird because like it has that like wash effect where it's like, pshh, 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 and it just like puts that groove. Like there's no question like where the tempo of the song is, and like when their jams build up, he's one of the few drummers that do stuff like that, where like the jam just like has these riding quarter notes on like a China cymbal. They're generally used like for accents and like crashes and stuff. It's not normal to really, especially in music like DMB, you would think you'd never see that. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that one because like the tempo is right where it should be. The cowbells are there. Like Tim is there and he's like keeping it like under control. And I mean, it's like an interesting version that like I think like the song is just how it has been since 92. I mean, there you go. There's what, 20 years later. And I mean, the structure is still the same. I mean, there's no violin part. And I mean, really since 2002, like Boyd is pretty much doing nothing on this song besides Hey Laws. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I still prefer Butch or Peter over Tim in this song. That's just me. But I don't know. I mean, the last one we'll listen to is actually the Summer Tour warm-up 2014. So the ladies are back in this one, and they're involved like a lot more. They have a lot more backing. Like they'll say, you know, turns out now who you're with that really matters. You know, they'll sing like an echo of like what really matters. You know,
Yep.
Carter actually does less China work in this one. It's more just, you know, ride cymbal. And Dave will actually trade Hey La stuff with the ladies at the end, which is they kind of feed off each other, which is kind of cool. So We'll play this one, and then in contrast, I'll just go back to the 92 one. And just from now, I think that's kind of cool to hear an immediate difference. So,
Tell my friend, it seems your eyes are troubled, care to share your time with me. Would you say you're feeling low and so a good idea would be to get it off your mind. See you and me have a better time than most can dream of, better than the best. So can the boat on through, whatever tears it does, whatever holds us down, and if nothing can be done, we'll make the best of what's around. Turns out not aware, but who you're with, that really matters, that really matters, yeah. And hurts not much when you're around, when you're around, and if you hold on tight to what you think is your thing, you might find you're missing all the rest. Well, she ran up into the light, surprised, her arms are open, her mind's eyes seeing things.
Yeah, I definitely like what the ladies added up for sure.
yeah, I like them on this song too.
Rather than just waiting till the end, like they're actually
Right.
adding a lot of harmony parts to just the regular chorus and verses.
The best know what's around. Turns out not aware, but what you think that really matters, that really matters, that really matters, that really matters, yeah.
So right here, the sax solo, we're back to the ride cymbal. One thing about this song too, that bump, 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 that stuff, that's also the same riff as Jimmy Thing, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing they do in Jimmy Thing, right here.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
I mean, we'll cover Jimmy Thing, I'm sure, in one of the episodes that we do, but
Yeah.
it's the same thing. And I think Dave, there's a lot of like nuances in his playing that we'll notice similarities between songs. But before we talk about that, here's the ladies doing the Hey Loss. And Dave, she was kind of echoing Dave or having a musical conversation, as some people would say with him.
Yep.
Jeff cues the end of the song.
That was almost identical to the one we talked about before.
Yeah.
And slowed down a lot more.
So,
He didn't have
just
like
real
the
quick.
chugga 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 chugga. He more did
Right.
like just much more basic.
right. Yeah. And, just real quick, in contrast to that one, we'll start the one from 92.
Hey, my friend, it seems your eyes are
Listen to Peter.
care to share your time with me.
That syncopation, God to God on the keys.
Yeah. But again, like the overall feel of the song really hasn't changed.
Wade and Boyd. Oh,
Yeah, where did he come
so
from?
nice, dude. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, the song really has not changed much at all. Though. It's definitely one of those songs that can go.
Whatever holds us down and if nothing can be done, we make the best of what's around.
I don't know. I really like that violin part, man. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But this one, it's just an example of like the band evolves, their sound evolves, but the actual song, they really do a lot of work to stay true to that, that original song from the basement, really, Carter's Basement. I don't know. I mean, I've never got a chance to play this one live yet with the tribute, but I would love to. I really would. It's just such a good, just fun song. It's just so good. So, what's your thoughts? I mean, do you like playing keys on it? Like, do you enjoy the song?
I've honestly not tried to transcribe it yet. I just noted, like we talked about at the very beginning, I could tell at least just by ear that that first version was in a different key. So I guess I at least can kind of pick up on just what the actual key of it is. But I've never actually really tried to, but nor have I played it with the tribute either. But I don't know. It seems like it would be a fun one to do because of the stuff that just like we were talking about, like what Butch was doing. You can really kind of make it your own, doing different voices on the keys, whether it's just regular piano, synth, organ, all that stuff. So I don't know. I think it would definitely be a cool one because you don't have to consistently be doing the comping stuff.
Right.
You can do a lot more lead stuff on the keys too. So.
Right. On drums, it's just super fun. And it's just you just really just find a groove and just open up those cowbells, and it's a really good. I mean, I guess it just sits in as just a good. I mean, I think, like I said in the beginning, everyone could agree it's a really good Dave song.
Yeah.
So I don't know. When I think of the band, it's the first song I think of, but that's pretty much all I have for it. I mean, there's not as many changes to talk about, and it's just an interesting, conversation to talk about how the minor changes that it has gone through, and yeah, I mean, that's it. So
Cool.
So next time you pick a tune, right?
Yep.
We'll go for episode 3, and then I'll figure out what I'm gonna do for episode 4. But anyways, that will do it. A little bit longer than last week, but still, I had a fun time talking about this tune. Yeah. So thank you everybody for listening, and Zach, obviously, thank you for joining. Give the video a like if you guys enjoyed. Thank you for the good support on the first video. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it, Zach. I don't think he was either. Were you?
No, I mean, I was hoping it would end up getting good feedback, and it seems like it overall did, so definitely happy about that.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and share it with someone who likes DMB. And other than that, we'll see you in episode 3. So have a good one.